Hey there. Welcome to Pelado Creations live streaming. We've got some fun stuff to do today. What are we going to do? I've got some improvements to the shop that I have made and want to make. So let's get to it. The first improvement is right here. So I've got a new computer. Well, it's not new. My brother was getting rid of this thing, and it's much more powerful than the laptop that I have been using in here. And so I was talking to him about what I could do to upgrade this other computer, and he's like, well, why don't you just take this one? And I was like, okay. So I've got this all set up, and hopefully we've got a lot better connectivity and everything than what we've had on some of our recent live streams, especially a night or two ago. So that's one hope for me. And then my other brother said, oh, hey, do you have need of a monitor? And I said, well, I've got some, but he had a bigger one. And so I'm going to mount this guy on the wall over there. I'm going to mount the computer up there, and that's what I'm live streaming off of right now. So I'm going to make a shelf for this guy and put him up there. And then I've got a mount for that guy that's sitting right there that I'm going to mount probably right in this area. So we'll get to it here. Let's see what we've got on our chat. I see some people. Hey, Billy, thanks for being here. Mike, thanks for being here. Cedar, thanks for being here, everybody. Pelado. Pelado. Yo estoy pelado. Muy pelado. All right, so let's get to working. So I need to clear out some space here to be able to do some stuff because of some other projects I've been working on. So let me get my tarp and epoxy and stuff put away. And let's see. I don't think I'll need the router table, but in the interest of getting things put away, just fold this guy up and put him with the painting supplies over here. All right. Probably discard this guy, his epoxy residue and everything. And all right. Then I'll just shove this guy further out of the way. Same with the bench. And we'll move this guy into the way. So this is a bunk bed that I started working on over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. My daughter wanted a loft bed in her room. I was like, well, she already has the other part of this bunk bed. Why don't I just and they were in pretty sad shape. I've got the ladder that I haven't really done anything on yet. So it's got a lot of dust on it here, but this is what they used to look like. All scraped up and scratched and looking pretty nasty, and names carved into the wood and all sorts of things. So I sanded all of that away on everything but the ladder so far. And filled in a bunch of the stuff that needed filling and put on some finish. So I think this is ready to go up to a room now. So I need to break it down so that I can actually take it to a room. So I'm going to get out the old impact driver. When I put it together down here so that I could I put it together just so that I could put the finish on it, because I figured that'd be a lot easier than having to finish each piece individually and then, you know, save it off to the side. So when I did that before, I used the drill because my wife wanted me to be quiet. And so the drill doesn't have the impacts that come through. Oh, I didn't mean to take that one off yet. Well, I'll just take off both of these now. All right. Just go about breaking this thing down. All right. Let's see, did I get this one yet? No. Wait. I need to actually see it. Oh. I guess I did get that loose already. And oh, come on, get on there. Oh, I already took that one off. No wonder it won't. Okay. Taking it apart is way faster than putting it together. Oh, going to bed already, Cedar? Well, I guess you didn't say you're going to bed, but going somewhere. All right. Those ones are both off. That's off. That's off. So I've got just the top ones here to remove. All right. Okay. Go. Oh. And and okay. Get that leg out. Whoa. All right. I'm going to lean this guy up against little easier to control. Same with this guy. Bring him over here. Move this guy over here. And I'll change the angle here. All right. All right, so move all this stuff all of the way over here. And that was quick. Oh, I guess I didn't get that one out already. Okay, all the lags have been removed. Hey, how's it going, Mike? Taz River Artisans, good to see you. You have your own channel there, Mike? No Cedar Grow Box, Mike Osborne. They've both been putting out some content. If you guys want to check those out, got some good stuff. And move the headboard out of the way. And get these guys out of the way. All right. All right. Look how much more room we have to work with now. Woo! Isn't that great? All right. Shalom, shalom. Excellent. Working on it. We'll be doing live soon. Sweet. With Taz River Artisans, what kind of stuff are you going to be doing? Will it be anything to do with the river, with the Taz, or more with the artisans? All right. Let's see. How are we doing? All right. Next, let me think. Oh, I should put those lags in the bag so I don't lose them. All right. Seal it up, I guess. And this bag is pretty old and doesn't really want to seal that well, but I got it. Hooray for me. All right. And let's see here. Woodworker and maker, wife sews, makes bags, a bit of both, not at the same time. She could be making bags to store your woodworking projects in. Never know. Could be fun. All right, so I'm going to cut out some plywood for the shelf. I'm going to cut out a frame for the shelf and some supports. I'm thinking to do something similar to what I already have up here. So you see I've got the shelving up here that wraps all the way around. And then I've just got these angled supports at a 45. My understanding is that they need to come out to at least 2/3 of the travel for the shelf in order to provide sufficient support. I might cheat on that a little bit for this shelf because I'm only going to be holding the computer and nothing else. And I've already got this support in place. So I might just put in my shelf and then tie in here, even if it's a little less than 2/3 of the way out. I'm just thinking here. All right. Nice task. True. Yeah. True. All right. So let me get some measurements first. I'm thinking to have this laying down up there. If I have it upright, then it comes down pretty far and sticking pretty far out. And if I have it right next to my shelving, my idea is to have the monitor also mounted. And so that would really block where I could put the monitor. So I'd have to put it further over. And then it's less convenient. So if I put it like that, I still have a similar problem. My monitor can, come over here easier, but I wonder if I think I'd have to mount this quite a bit lower, because otherwise it would be blocked by that. So if I have it laying on its side with the cables in the back, just get a feel for how far back it can actually go with the cables and everything sticking out. So how far my shelf would need to be. If I go from the wall, that is just about 20 inches. And then here I'd need just about 17. So 20 inches deep, 17 inches wide. So find some plywood, cut it up. Not the plywood who likes to visit the chat. That's going to cut a different plywood, unless he misbehaves. Have a nice setup. Hey, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Yeah, this didn't happen overnight, but it has happened relatively quickly. Moved into this shop, this house that has this little shop area. It's part of the garage. And I was really excited about it because it had a workbench already in the shop here, and it was an angle, it was an L shape, just kind of in this corner, and it actually used the plywood here and here, and it also had what's it called? Has all the little holes in it. Why can't I think of it? People use it for storage. Pegboard. Geez, why couldn't I think of the word pegboard? So it had pegboard all up here and all up here. And I thought, this is great. And until I started trying to use the friggin' pegboard, it was not that great. Did not care for it that much. So, oh, Mike, you got bumped off for a second. How's the stream quality? Are we staying current? Is the video quality good? Any problems for anybody? Let me know if you're having any issues. I haven't seen any issues so far, but like the other night we had issue after issue. Good to hear. Okay, sweet. All right, yeah. So anyway, the the workbench was just the plywood on top of 2x4s and just screwed down, and that was it. And I figured I wanted something a little bit more robust. So I ripped it all out, ripped out the pegboard, and then built out everything you see here. So the workbenches, the workbench, the French cleat wall, the shelving, all of that. The charger station. Yeah, basically everything that you see I built in the last couple of years. Because we've only been here, 3.5 years? And I was just dealing with the workbench before as it was. What I found was that I wasn't really ever using the workbench because it was usually just covered in stuff, because I didn't have good places for things to go because the pegboard was so limiting. And I just had the storage under the workbench pretty much. So way better now, at least for what I do. But yeah, I've got a shop tour video on the channel if you want to check that out. And a bunch of other videos too. So go ahead and check out the channel, subscribe if you haven't already. And all right, let's cut our board. So 20 by 17. So let me take you over here to my plywood storage cart. And I think this guy is probably wide enough. Let me, if he's not quite 20 inches wide, he's probably at least 17. And he's definitely more than 20 inches long. Ooh, just under 21 inches. So that should work nicely. So we will grab him. And he's got a bunch of foam still glued to him because I must have, this must be one of the pieces that I salvaged from an old shipping container. So, yeah, so I'll take the 20 this way and the 17 that way. I might not even bother shaving off the, about 7/8 of an inch. So I'll just leave it about 20 and 7/8. And so then here, we'll go down to 17 and grab the speed square. Yeah, so I salvaged this guy from an old shipping container and couldn't get those pieces of foam off. Let me see if I've got some kind of scraper that I could use real quick to try and get those off now. No, could use the putty knife here. Well, it's kind of working. And that's all right. That's about as much as I'm going to worry about it. I'll just put the remaining foam on the underside. So I should get a better scraper. Let's see. Describes over half my shop. Every flat surface is covered. Yeah, that's mine, Taz. Yep. No path. Guide yourself in a scrape. Yep. Sometimes it just happens, you know. No, don't even try, and maybe that's the problem. You're not even trying, and so you get yourself in a scrape. But you know, we'll power through. All right, so grab my table saw here. I recently added some more light. I had previously added 3 LED overhead lights here, and I had bought 4, so I decided to just add the 4th one. So hopefully the lighting is a little bit better because it's the light that's closest to me right now. So get a little bit better coverage for this area in here. All right. Oh, and then I usually use my router table as the outfeed cable. But I don't really want to scrape up the router table, but I don't have a lot of extra room for yeah, it'll be fine. All right. Okay. So just go to 17. Lock that down. Scoot this over a little that way. And okay. Push stick is fine. And get this guy plugged in. I've got a little shop vac and cyclone separator underneath the table saw in this cart. So the nice thing about this is I only have to plug in once and it gets both of them going, and so the shop vac turns on whenever I turn on the table saw. Get some eye and ear protection. And need to raise this up a bit. Just do a tad more. Feeling like I probably should use a different tool, either the track saw or the circular saw, so I'm not having to have such a large piece that I'm cutting that direction, but I'm not going to worry about it. All right, so that's a little bit off my line. There we go. All right. Okay. And unplug that guy and wrap him up. That might be all that we need to do on the table saw for now. I've got a much thicker cable or much thicker extension cord here than I probably need. But I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to have any issues with short circuiting and everything, since I've got these two tools that are drawing power concurrently. And take the brakes off. So because I've got this small shop, I like having things on wheels so that I can move them around as needed. But the downside is that pretty much you've always got to move things around because it's always needed. All right, so now I've got a shelf that will work. And sticks out a little further than needed, but all right. That'll be good. Good enough for the shop, that's for sure. All right. Ooh, I should have a drink. I'm not sponsored by Sparkling Ice, but I should be. I drink so much of this stuff. It's got 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and it's carbonated and flavorful. So it's basically the only spring water or whatever that I can drink besides just actual water. So I like it better than water. So, all right. All right, so now I need to frame this out. I'll probably just use the same kind of let's see, that's a 2x3, right? So now that I think about it, I am going to need the table saw some more. Because I made these guys out of, these 2x3s I made out of 2x6s. So that's 33. So yeah, I won't be able to get everything from this one, but I might be able to get enough out of them. And what else have I got down here? Oh, there's another. So is this one at least 17 inches? Find out. It is. That's almost, it's nearly 20. Ooh. I'm tempted to just use this guy as my 20. He's 19 and 5/8. Maybe I just cut this guy down to 19 5/8, have the computer overhang just a little bit, and then I only have to cut 17 off of this one. So then I'm using this whole thing, I'm using only 17 out of this 33 instead of 20 or 21 out of this 33. So then I've got more left over of him, and I use this guy up completely. So, let's see, got yourself in a scrape. Okay, how big is my shop? That's a great question. That's 12, that's 2, so that's 14 foot wide, and that's 8, and then probably another 8, give or take there. So, probably 16-ish. So probably 14 by 16 or so, depending on where we really draw the border between the shop and the rest of the garage. And then, I've got a lot of shelving, garage shelving over here that isn't really used for the shop. I mean, some of it is, but a lot of just garage storage. This is a homemade kiln. So I've got a bench top that I'm drying in there right now. There's some maple that I previously dried, and the legs for that bench that's drying in the kiln right now. So anyway, fun stuff, right? But yeah, probably 14 by 16, give or take. All right. Single car garage, one room on first floor of the townhouse. Okay. Oh yeah, Mike's is a single car garage, and then Mike Osborne is a single car garage, and then Mike Taz River Arsons is one room on the first floor of the townhouse. Okay. And I'm assuming with as a townhouse, you have somebody else right next to you, right? So how loud can you be before they start complaining? That's one issue that I'd have. My issue here is that it doesn't take much before my wife starts complaining. So I closed all the doors. She and my daughters are having a little movie party in the bedroom upstairs. And so hopefully, they're able to turn that up loud enough that they don't notice what I'm doing in here. But she's always like, "Oh, don't the neighbors get upset about how loud you are so late in the night?" Because I tend to be out here doing stuff at kind of all hours. And so I asked the next door neighbor how much I was disturbing him, and he said he hadn't noticed at all. I'm like, "Sorry, sweetheart, they don't care. It's just you." All right. Both sides have people all around, all walls sound insulated. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's good. But is it how good is the sound insulation? Because I might want to try doing something like that here, insulating the shop here. I mean, I have a really tough time really insulating it because we've got a lot of house up above that I wouldn't be able to insulate the whole space. That just wouldn't be reasonable. But maybe if I at least insulate it over here and above here, I make it a little bit more tenable for the people inside. They can't hear your router going full blast. Wow, that's impressive. Nice. Okay. All right, so I'm going to pull the tip saw back out so that I can rip these 2x6 and 2x3s. And lock it back down. Good thing I put this all away, right? All right, let's see if I've got enough cord or if I'm too far away now. Oh, I'll scoot it a little closer here, even though I just engaged the brakes. All right. Put on some more brakes here. All right. Even with the brakes, it doesn't stop completely. So, all right, here we go. And let me mark this guy. The way I like to mark for center is I'll just kind of estimate where I think the center is. Because this one, it should be, because as a 2x6, it should be 5.5 inches wide. So if I just go 2 3/4 and lock that in, and then mark, and then just come from the other side and mark. Now I know that right in between those lines is my center part, my center point. And I'm going to bring this out a little more and mark my other one. Might be a little bit more on center. Yeah, pretty close. So, but I think that one was okay. There we go. That should work. And so then as I'm adjusting my fence, I can bring it into right in the middle of those two lines. Lock it in. And I'll just test with this one too. And that's pretty much right on center. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. All right, let me get my ear protection back on. And yeah, they can't hear it or they lied to you. Yeah, one of the two, right? All right. Let's see if I can give you a little bit better shot of ripping these boards. There we go. And get the old push stick out there. Go, locked in, right? All right, good. And let's keep going. All right. And we move this stuff out of the way. See, I've got way too much stuff in the way. I'll just put these guys over here for now. Those are part of the bunk bed setup that I was mentioning earlier, that I disassembled earlier. And let me get some of these willow boards out of the way that I was leveling for charcuterie boards. So they'll finish the project someday. And there we go. Then I've got my crosscut sled that I can employ. Although I'm not sure that this is going to be I might not be able to go high enough with the blade with the crosscut sled. Well, it'll work. There we go. But I don't have a stop lock that'll go far enough because this maxes out at 16 and I need to cut it at 20. Or actually not 20. I need to cut it at this length. And where did I put the pen? Oh, pencil's right next to me. So I'm going to do it like this. And that's flush. And same thing with this other guy. All right. And then I just need to cut those guys. Table saw. Really, I should, I probably should have done them the other direction, so that I could put this cut side on the back fence. Because I don't know if I'm going to have enough space on this side. Don't know if it'll go, well, I think it's supposed to go 20 something, but I'd rather have, because I've got only, 6 or 7 inches on this side and 16 on this side, so I'd rather have the support on this side, more so on this side than on that, but let's just see if I've got enough. Oh, no, that'll work. Just go like that. That's fine. We'll make it work. And I'll just leave that over here for now. And hey, New Roots and Raja, thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, Raja hit the like button. Everyone else is welcome to hit the like button as well. Thanks for being here, everybody. Let's see. New Roots is here. Let's see. Have to get some sleep. Gonna leave you pulled up on the phone. Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Don't have notifications on. Hey, appreciate it, man. And Metabo table saw. No, this is a DeWalt. So let me bring it in a little bit here and set that to the side. This is the latest model, I believe, the 7491, but it is old. So I bought this very used from a cabinet shop in town that was getting rid of them and getting some saw stop versions. So I don't know how well it's coming through on camera, but it's pretty old and beat up. So I got it for very cheap. And part of the reason for that is that the height adjustment, the blade height adjustment, wasn't working properly. The bevel lock wasn't working properly. For the height adjustment, I just used some dry lube for that. The bevel adjustment needed a little bit more coaxing, and including some dry lube, but I've got a video about how to fix the bevel lock on the channel. Other issues, the fence has a gouge in it, and so I made an auxiliary fence out of MDF that I'm, got the Milescraft clamps on there to, hold it in against the regular fence. And then the table was, had like paint and a bunch of other crap on it, and it was, and it's not entirely flat. So anyway, so I was able to get this for too much because I offered a price and they accepted it right away, so I paid too much. But yeah, and then I've got down below, I can show you there, I've got the little shop vac and cyclone separator that are also connected to little circuit deal here. So when I turn the table saw on, it turns on the shop vac that goes through the cyclone separator, and so that works out pretty well for me. So let's see if I can get you guys situated here again. But yeah, so it's the DeWalt 7491, which one of the reasons why I liked the 7491 so much and was willing to get one of these old ones is that it's got the rack and pinion fence, and it's got the built-in dust collection. So I've got the dust port connected to the shop vac and everything. So it just keeps the shop a lot cleaner. And for the rack and pinion, I'm able to adjust my distance with just the turn of that knob without having to worry about locking in square every time. So I just have to calibrate it periodically. All right, DW734. Yeah, so this is the 7491. The 734, I think I actually had before. That's the version right before this one. And the problem I had with that, because I bought that one used as well, it did not have the built-in riving knife or separator or whatever this thing's called. And so it had one, but it didn't rise and lower with the blade. So like this guy. So if I wanted to do like dados or something like that, I would have to remove it entirely. And there were just a lot of other things. The dust port on that one, I don't know if it came the way that I got it from the factory, or if it was another issue that if it got broken between the time it was made and the time that I got it. It's entirely possible. But whatever the case, the dust collection on the one that I had was not good. So that was another point in favor of getting this guy. So, all right. Lock him in right there. Okay, yeah, you have the 734 and no riving knife. It works. It's good. Oh yeah, it works really well. So I mean, it's not as robust or powerful as like a cabinet saw or a contractor saw, but as a job site saw, it works great. It's generally regarded as the best job site saw for woodworking type stuff because of the riving knife and whatever else, or not the riving, sorry, the rack and pinion, and there are other units that have the rack and pinion, but this is generally considered to be one of the better job site table saws out there. But yeah, if you have a cabinet saw or a contractor saw, which is different than a job site saw, those tend to be much more powerful and precise. You could have a cast iron, a cast iron. Geez, why can't I think of the name? Bed? No, what is it called? Top? A cast iron top to the table. It's a table saw. So a cast iron table instead of this is aluminum, and so. And one of the nice things about the cast iron is then it's also magnetic. So you have like the magnetic tools that you can use on it, whereas this, as aluminum, magnetic stuff doesn't work. But also the cast iron tends to be a lot more reliably flat. It'll stay flat longer than the aluminum. Let's see. Actually built a stand for mine that makes it more of a cabinet saw, extending the table, making it more stable as far as accuracy goes. The price, for the price, it's great. Yeah, that's the thing, right? So if I wanted to buy a true cabinet saw or contractor saw, I'm going to pay thousands, right? If I'm buying it new. If I'm buying it used, there's stuff out there. There's the old Craftsman 113 cabinet saws that, those are very well regarded. They're I think they stopped making them in like the 70s or 80s, but there's a ton of them still around, and you can get them for often like $100 or less, and they work great. But they don't have a riving knife, so you've got to figure out a solution for making sure you're safe. They don't have dust collection, like at all. They don't have the rack and pinion, right? And so those are some of the reasons why I didn't gravitate toward the Craftsman. And the other big thing is that it's a big thing, right? And so it wouldn't be particularly mobile. It's like, okay, I need to have a table saw system, right, where the table saw stays in place. But the other nice thing about the Craftsman is that it can do 110 or 220. And I've got in my utility room, which is just on the opposite side of my wall here, I've got, for my dryer, it has the 220 hookup, but it also has the gas hookup. So I actually have a gas dryer in there. So I was thinking, like, I could repurpose that 220, just push it out this other wall, and then use that 220 for a table saw or some other tool that needs it. But I haven't needed that yet. So, but yeah, running on the 220, it's apparently works a lot better. You have better power, better torque, better, I don't know. So anyway, that was one that I considered. But if I'm buying something new, it's going to be thousands. If I'm buying something used, they don't come on the market as often. And even when they do, you're still paying a lot more than you would for something like this. And so for me, at my level, right, because I'm just a hobbyist, right? I'm not trying to crank out, production work, thousands of pieces or anything like that. I'm just doing stuff for me and for my, my family and friends. And so, this is good enough for who it's for, right? So, as my granddaddy used to say. But yeah, so yeah, it's good, right? So, if you're needing something with really low tolerances, that's perfectly flat, that'll run forever, and stay true, probably I would recommend getting a cabinet saw, or at least a contractor saw that's going to be better for you. And the other nice thing about the cabinet saws, I've been told, especially the ones that are running at 220, that are belt driven instead of direct to drive like these, is that they tend to be a lot quieter. I haven't used them. I don't know. That's just what I've heard or read. So anyway, table saws. This guy works just fine for what I do. If you're doing stuff similar to what I'm doing, I think it would be just fine. If you want to do a lot more involved stuff, then probably look for either that Craftsman, and you can make some modifications. Like I've seen people that I've got a zero clearance throat plate that I made. I've got a video about that, and how poorly I did. I named it "How Not to Make a Zero Clearance Throat Plate," but I've got several of them now that I made for this saw. But you could make a zero clearance throat plate for the Craftsman and kind of build in a little separator there, so that you still have some protection when you're using it, even though it doesn't have a riving knife. And then I've seen people that made, built boxes around the bottom side of their saw so that they could, put a dust port on it and collect all the sawdust and everyththing from below the saw, which is where most of it's going, because the blade is spinning toward you, and so it cuts down and shoots the sawdust down, and so that's why the dust collection works pretty well that way. Now even this one, it does pretty well with my dust collection. It's not perfect, right? You can still see sawdust everywhere. But there's a lot less of it than there would be if I didn't have the dust collection in place. All right. And heavy, yes. Yeah, the cabinet saws, the contractor saws, they're a lot heavier, a lot bigger, just take up a lot more square footage, less mobile. You could still put them on wheels, but I would feel a lot less secure about having those guys on wheels than I do about this guy. And I mean, they've got those casters that like you can release them and set the thing down so that they're not constantly on wheels, right? Because on this one I've got brakes on it, and they work okay, but there's still there's still some movement. So you just have to be aware and think about what are the non-negotiables, right, when it comes to your setup. But if you're doing stuff similar to what I'm doing, or a lot of things that are not that similar to what I'm doing, I think this thing works just great. But cabinet saws and contractor saws could be even better. Let's see. Oh, great conversation. I'm going to sleep. What? How dare you? And have a great stream. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. All right. So we'll continue on here. Let me see if I'll just give myself a little bit more clearance there. Got that in position. Get my ear protection back on. And cut this one and then cut the other one. And actually, no, that's not what I'm doing. Because I was going to use this one for that length. So I need to shave a little bit off of the plywood. And then these guys, I'm cutting the other direction. And so I'm going to do it this way. Actually, do it this way. They can be on top, because I like to be on top. And I don't like how I got that situated. All right. Here we go. Much better. All right. And I'll just say, don't use that one, don't use that one. Okay. And glad I thought that through before I started the machine. That could have been very bad for me. All right. And here we go. That is just about right. Got a little bit more shave off. Let's see. And when I have an open cut like that, where I'm just shaving a little off instead of cutting through something, like if I were cutting here, my dust collection isn't as good, because instead of cutting and taking the sawdust down, this whole area is open. And so it cuts this, and a lot of it ends up over here. So you can kind of see, maybe you can see a lot of the sawdust that's right there. So that's so close. Just take off a tiny bit more. Oh, you know what? I should be doing this. Use the face that was, there we go. That's just about perfect. All right, and that one we are saving, or hold on now. This is that's my 19. These ones. Those are my leftover. Okay. And then I've got this guy. And I want to cut him on this side. And let me just double check. Okay. Yep. All right. Actually, I'm going to shave off a tiny bit. Well, I'm going to cut him a little proud, and then shave off the other side. So I've got a sure 90-degree edge, just square to the other cuts here. And then if I need to, I'll shave off a little more. See how much. Yep. Okay. So I'll just shave off enough. Make sure this guy's that slipped right as I was pushing him through. But luckily, he took off just enough, so I don't need to do anything on the other side. Whew. Okay. So, hey, Keith. Two dudes. Thanks for being here. All right. So, I've got my 17s. I've got my 19 and whatevers, right? That's what these are, aren't they? Yes. All right, so now I'm going to cut off a sliver. On here. So I will remove the crosscut sled so that I can use it for a rip cut. And of course I should have measured from my other side. In fact, I'm going to measure from this side because I've got those deals there. So if I have this on the underside, those will be riding on my flat surface, and those are not flat. So okay. So I'm going to lower this down a lot. I like to have it so that my carbide teeth are just higher than the material I'm cutting. All right, that should work. And I'm going to shift things over a little because otherwise my table saw will not, or my camera will not survive the cut. We'll bring it over here. And, oh, 1:30 there already? You must be Eastern time zone. I am in the Mountain time zone in Idaho. Where are you at, Mike? Taz River. Are you in the U.S.? And if so, which state are you in? All right, so that should work. And let me clear things here. And let's see, I don't need these. Ooh, there we go. All right. So now I'll just lower the blade down and keep you here at the table saw. And all right, so got those. I think I should scrape that off if possible. And then there, and then there, and there. So I'm thinking I'm going to half lap these joints here. And that should be good. All right, so so let's do this. I'm going to have all of these flush. Yeah, that's not working. I need to have something to flush them against here. Where are those boards that I just got rid of? Where did I put them? Oh, there they are. They fell on the floor. All right, so all right, and then put that against them. And oh, come on. Okay, well, that mostly worked. And do the same over here. Although really, that should only matter for 2 of them. So I'm not marking these with a pencil because a pencil is too wide. So I want to get only the depth, or only the as exact a mark as I can there. Use your fence to flush them up. Yeah, I could do that, I guess. You're in 35 minutes from Culpeper. I'm in Purcellville. By the way, New York time estimates do not include traffic. Yeah. Use your fence to flush them up. Yeah. I'm not familiar with Culpeper. Oh, my buddy's in Culpeper. Oh, Virginia. Okay. Didn't see that. Virginia, 45 minutes from DC, but time estimates do not include maybe you're saying my time estimates do not include traffic. Okay. So let's see if I put these ones down first. Let's see, which ones do I want? I think I'll cut the face of those and the top of these. So grab that marking knife again. Okay. And that was great. Well done. Maybe I should be using the fence. Okay. Hopefully that works. So I'm cutting away this segment here on these ones, and these segments here on these ones. So I know how far over I need to go. How deep do I need to go? I want to go halfway down on all of them. So I'm going to take off my ear protection while I'm marking here. All right, so should be, well, let's see. Because these should now be, well, I'll just measure them. Yeah, 2 3/4 basically. Okay. Dial it back a tiny bit. Okay. And come on. These pencils are just not very exact. That. Okay. I'm going to switch back over to the marking knife here. Just hope I'm able to see those. Okay. And I think I want to cut those out on the bandsaw. What are we making? Oh, I am making a shelf out of plywood. And this will be my supports under the shelf. I'm going to do some half lap joints. But the plywood shelf is for this computer, this new computer. Well, it's not that new, but it's new to me. So I'm going to put it up here. So just making the shelf for that. So let me get the old bandsaw out from over there. And I think I can put the table saw away now. Used it way more than I was anticipating earlier. I think I was planning to use the miter saw for the those other cuts, but I kind of prefer the crosscut sled on the table saw versus the miter saw. And if you only have one, I'd say the table saw is generally going to be a lot better, unless you're mostly doing construction type stuff that requires you to break down long boards, 2x4s and stuff a lot. Whereas for me, most of what I'm doing is not big construction type stuff. So throw that over here for now. And that out of the way. Undo the brakes on my table saw. Let's see. Him out of the way. And we'll bring the bandsaw into play. Put brakes on for him. All right. So this is an old Craftsman bandsaw, built in 1978. And good night again. Yeah. Good night, Mike. Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it. Hope you subscribed. And plug in the bandsaw, and then I'm going to unplug the vacuum from my floor sweeper thingy. Oh, but I need my adapters in order to fit the dust port on the bandsaw. Okay, there we go. Man, I really jammed that one in. Good. All right, here we go. And we got dust collection going on. And then use my little homemade fence. And see where we need to be on right about there. So I'm going to clamp that down. Okay. And all right. I'm going to start on here. And I need to take that to my line there, which I can mostly see. I'm not that worried if I get off it by a little bit. But see how it goes. Actually, I'm going to bring my blade guard down so it's just a little bit higher than what I'm cutting. And that'll give me a lot better control. Um, I should have marked both sides here, but I didn't. So I'm just going to guess here. All right. So I didn't square this guy off before we started, and he's not squared. So that might be a problem. We'll find out. All right. So now I need to figure out my halfway mark in this direction. Preferably without getting splinters. Right about there, I think. All right. And this is one of the long ones. All right. There we go. All right, so I've got 3 that I need to reposition back to the other cut because I didn't go quite far enough on my guesses. Not sure why I needed to guess on one of them because it should have been just right. But all right, take my clamps off. Oh, try not to attack the keyboard there. And lock that in again. Go. And okay, all right. All right. Now I've got some blocks that my kids can play with. Not that they want to play with blocks. All right, so the router table over here is a assembly table of sorts. And got our plywood. So now we have that on the edge there, this on the edge over here, this right here, and this right here. And that feels awfully good to me. Except I'd want it to be just opposite. Like this, so that I've got my flat faces against the plywood. Yep. That is just about perfect. But I want it to be different. In that this is going to be the face on the that this is connected to, because I don't want to have to deal with that glue on the upper side. Glue and whatever. So let me see if I can scrape that stuff off any better now than I did earlier. And I'm going to take these this hearing protection off in the meantime. I'm not too worried about the glue and foam in the interior here, but I don't want this messing up my joint with the horizontal supports. Let's see. Gotta have a better scraper than this, right? Well, got another putty knife there, but I feel like I just got or found a scraper the other day. There it is. There you go. Not sure if it's any good, but probably not any worse than what I was using, right? Don't want to accidentally mess up my router table surface. So let's see if I can scrape this stuff off. There you go. And as long as I'm here, all right. Well, now that I've got that cleaned off, maybe I'll just use this as the top surface. So then I've got a cleaner underside that'll actually get seen. What do you think? All right, so just assemble this over here. Okay. And see if I have any clamps that are long enough for anything there. No. Got some other stuff over there that should be long enough for at least a couple of those. Yeah. Let me bring the heavy part over on this side so it's easier for me to handle. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So, what screws to use? Those going to be long enough? No. Those will not be either. So I want some screws that are going to go all the way through the plywood and the first lap and into the second lap, so that I only have to put screws in a few locations. So that would work, but I don't really want it going any deeper than that. Let me find a drill bit that will do what I want to do there. think probably this one should work. We'll countersink it a little bit. Yeah, that's gonna. I'm gonna want a longer one. I think this one's already back as far as it'll go. Yep. All right. So this will get me there, and it'll clear out the countersink. I just need to be sure not to go really any further than that on my countersink. Right about there. And I don't have a stop on this that'll automatically engage. But, all right. All right, let's see if that's going to work. And let's see, these are Torx. Oh, need to remove that bit. Let me position this. Is that the best fit? That's just about perfect. All right, so I'll just leave that in there and not tighten down too much. And drill out the rest of these holes. Okay. Then that's locked in. Ooh, that's hot. And one more hole to drill. Right about there. Yeah, it's a little deeper. Should still be okay though. Yeah, that one was just about perfect, and all the others were way too deep. All right. Put the long clamps away. I have to hang those by a shelf over here because they're too long to fit on my French cleat clamp holder, or clamp holders over there. So, all right. So where are we at here? We've got a shelf with supports. And I'm not gluing it because I want to be able to take it all apart later if I need to. Ah, crap. I thought I heard cracking. So I didn't get that drilled down well enough, and then it's pushing it instead of drilling into it. So that sucks. Son of a. All right, so whatever. So I still have the cracking there because I didn't get it drilled down well enough, far enough, because my bit was too, oh, you know what? I've got the same thing going on there. It's not, I've got too much space there. So I'm going to get a longer bit. And let's see how long these guys are. Not quite that long. All right, so at least this guy. So I'll get a longer bit, pull those out, this one especially. Okay. And then, well, okay. Same problem there. Whew. Oh, son of a... This one I'll, oh geez. That was brilliant. Since I've already got that cracked anyway, this is sure really going to do a good job, but yeah, it doesn't matter. All right. I'm going to put some screws through there, and that should help lock it in a little better. So I think these should be long enough. Yeah, just use those. And these are Phillips. And pull plywood off, get you, yeah, that's true. I was thinking about that, but I didn't want to take everything out and then have to reseed it all. So, you know, just laziness is my problem. All right, let me find this guy. Should work. And dial in right around there. All right. I want to avoid the screw that I already put in. So I'm going to go a little bit off center. So let's see how well that does. Okay. Okay. And come around the other side here. And one more here. All right, I think I must have been bumping up against the other screw. So that should be solid enough. I'm not worried. Anybody else worried? Okay. Same Makita drill. Impact is at these about 12-volt set. Splitting the hell out of everything with it. Yeah, I should have just drilled down a little deeper. I was just being lazy because, I've got my, this countersink bit, so it'll drill and countersink all at once, but it just wasn't long enough to go for those initial screws, because I wanted to go through the plywood, through the first lap and into the second lap. And, I should have just, like you were saying, should have taken the plywood off and gone down a bit deeper. And then I probably wouldn't have even bothered with these screws. But it's probably good that I did bother with these screws, because that'll just make it a much, stronger thing overall. Because now I've got, not only am I coming through here, I'm also connecting that way. So it's a better build. I was just trying to be lazy. So in the past, I've not done my half lap stuff. And so I would just, butt everything together, and then a couple of screws here, a couple of screws there, whatever. Then screws, from the plywood into the frame. But then I've got, screws going into the end grain, which isn't as strong as going into the, the side grain or edge grain, whatever. So anyway, this is better overall. Definitely better than what I used to do. All right, let me get the bandsaw out of the way here. Let's take off the brakes, take off the clamps. Get those guys hung back up. And roll him back out of the way after I disconnect the vacuum hose. And hopefully don't hit the camera. All right, so back to the issue at hand. I want to put it up there. So I don't want the computer to be taller than the level of this shelf, right? So I've got a plywood shelf here on top of these shelves, and you can see what I was just describing earlier, how I made these ones, rather than doing a half lap or anything, just screwed these guys into the end grain there. Which is not the best, and looks like I might have some cracking there. I'm not sure if that's from the screws or something else. But anyway, that's great. So anyway, so here's the top of my shelf on top of that plywood. So I want the computer to be on the shelf lower than that, because that way I can still slide things off here without, bumping the computer or knocking it off or, whatever. So I want to be careful with that. So got my, if I have that coming out like this, it could work pretty well. Just need to make sure I have enough clearance for that. And then I was thinking, even if it's less than 2/3 of the way out, I could secure this side by going into that right there. And then I just have to have a support coming over here. And I've got a stud right there. So I could have that coming in over here. And then I'm putting this guy up with a mount that will also connect to that stud. So it would just need to connect below wherever this does. So that might end up being closer to down here, depending. All right, so let's see how far down I need to go on this. So this is just under 7 inches tall as it stands right now. Move that guy out of the way. And get my bead square here. Let's see if I can trim like that. Yeah. Okay, so my shelf needs to be no higher than that. And really, I need to give myself something visible on the edge here. Oh, okay. Not. So really, pretty much there. All right, so that's as high as I can go on this shelf. Um, hmm. Okay. So that's an approximate height there for where I can put that. I'm gonna shift my monitor over so I've got a little bit more room to work. And that is my So means I can put it to there and see what I've got that I can probably do that. Let's see. Got my stud right there. Got another stud right there. So hopefully I can get that stay. All right, I should have used the longer one here. But I also want to make sure that I can see, is that a 3? Okay. All right. Let's see, is that gonna, that's probably gonna be a little too wide. That's not long enough, but close enough. Come on. Okay. And I'm just going to use this as a temporary support for placing the the shelf. Okay. Go. All right. That's good. And then get the level. Figure out where level. About there. Well, it looks great. level again. Oh, went out of level. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. And I think if I put another board over here, that should make it pretty easy to support. So I'll just find the other offcut here. And got to find my drill. Oh, there it is, right next to me. Okay. Then screw that guy in. All right, there we go. All right, and I'm going to tighten that guy down more. Yeah, didn't mean to tighten them that much. Mm. Got a call coming through here. We gotta check in on. I'm guessing that's the missus. He's probably not happy about how loud that is. Apparently, people are trying to sleep in my house for some reason. It's only like 12:30. Why would they be trying to sleep? So, I have received a directive to be quiet. So, wonder if I can quietly drill a hole for this. And see if I use a shorter screw. then probably won't have the impact driver impacting so much, but this might not be enough to hold that secure. That should work. All right. So then, let's see which, probably this side looks better. Maybe. And let's see if I can clamp that down so that it'll let me, let's see if I can get the right angle on this to, and it might not even be long enough. And that should be able to work. Okay. Let's see if that's level as it sits. Quite. Let me see if I can get a clamp over on that other side. Guessing it won't go over far enough. It's pretty close to level. That's pretty much level. That should work. Okay. So, do this. Okay. A little bit more of an angle here. And over here, I think I need even more of an angle. Okay. Let's see. I want to go in with smaller screws right there. that going to be enough to go through? Yeah. All right. Okay, come on now. There Okay. And we'll switch over to Torx bit again. Come on. I'll put in these 4 screws. Actually, before I do that, I want to go deeper with this other bit. All right. And then instead of using the impact driver, I'm going to use the drill because that way it's not going to hammer in. So it won't drive them as well, but hopefully it doesn't make as much noise for everyone else in the household. All right. So take the clamps off there. That feels pretty rigid as it is. Let me take these guys out. Well, I need to get the other bit here. Okay. And I can take these out. Come on. And we don't have quite the right size bit here because it keeps slipping. All right, so best practices would be to put another support over here. That's rock solid over here. There's a little bit of deflection over here. What do you guys think? Should I worry about another support? Or just put the computer up there as is? Because that's going to hold it. It should be fine, right? And then I should be able to put this guy get my mounting hardware over here. Okay. So this is what goes onto the stud. So just under 7 inches. And this is 4.5, just over 4.5 inches. So 4.5 from 7, 2.5. Half of that is 1.25. And I've got about 6 inches there. So if I were to come down 6 inches from this, that should give me over 2 inches of clearance for the monitor on this. So, am I thinking of that right? Because this whole thing is a little over 15 inches tall. About 6 inches to there. Let's see. That's less than 16. Halfway around there. Okay. So let me find the screws for this. All right. Okay. Let's just be sure. Okay. Yeah. That drill bit is wonky. So, find a different one. It'll have a tiny bit of bite. Yeah, that'll be better. All right. And how deep? Almost all. Okay. Knock that off the magnet. And okay. And I'm going to switch my bit over to drill. Again, so that I'm not too loud with the thump, 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 the impact of the impact driver. Let me get that guy out of the way. And I'm actually going to try to find a better connection because I'm actually just going to call it quit, actually. I'm just being too loud. So thanks for being here, everybody. And I will see you all next time.